During the worst rains of World War II, tarps failed, canvas rotted, seams leaked, and entire trench systems turned into rivers of freezing mud. Yet, amid this chaos, a small group of frontline engineers developed a waterproofing method that outperformed modern tarps, plastic sheets, and synthetic coatings. Their secret? A layered seal made from nothing more than clay, wood ash, and waxed cloth. What began as an emergency battlefield fix became a survival technology so effective it kept men dry through bomb storms and weeks of relentless rain. Soldiers didn't rely on gear, they engineered survival from the ground up. Modern campers and preppers often rely on equipment, tarps, rainflies, and synthetic sealants to keep out moisture. But during World War II, supplies were scarce, and soldiers couldn't depend on factory-made protection. They had to improvise with materials they could dig, burn, or melt on site. What they discovered was that soil itself, when prepared correctly, could outperform man-made coverings. In Europe's wet trenches, the combination of clay and wood ash became a lifesaver. When mixed together and packed over wax-treated canvas, it created a hydrophobic layer, meaning water couldn't penetrate. The mixture hardened like stone on the surface but stayed slightly pliable underneath, preventing cracks during freezing nights. Soldiers used this not only for trench roofs but also to seal dugouts, foxholes, and even ammunition bunkers. The secret was in how clay and ash reacted to each other under pressure and heat. The science behind it was surprisingly advanced for its time. Clay particles are fine and dense, forming a tight barrier to water. Ash, on the other hand, contains calcium and carbonates that chemically reduce surface tension, making the mixture more water-repellent. When combined in roughly a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 parts clay to 1 part wood ash, and tamped tightly into a 1-inch layer, the compound became both flexible and nearly waterproof. To make it stronger, soldiers often added wax or animal fat melted into old cloth. This created a layered system, waxed cloth beneath to repel immediate moisture, and the clay ash layer above to deflect rain and block seepage. Heat from body warmth or campfires hardened the outer surface over time, sealing it further. Some units even brushed a thin coat of soot or oil over the top, creating a dark surface that camouflaged the shelter while adding another level of moisture resistance. The construction method was simple but demanded precision in layering. A proper World War II-style clay and ash seal began with preparation. First, soldiers dug their trench or foxhole at a slight slope so that any runoff drained away naturally. Then they spread a base of woven cloth or old canvas, saturating it in wax, oil, or melted tallow. This acted as the foundation. Next came the key layer, the clay and ash mix. It had to be thoroughly kneaded like dough, until the texture was firm but not crumbly. If too dry, cracks would form. If too wet, it would slump and fail. The ratio stayed close to 3 shovels of clay for every 1 shovel of fine ash. Soldiers pressed it by hand or stomped it into place, covering about 1 inch to 2 inches over the entire roof surface or trench wall. When the layer began to stiffen, they would, smooth it flat using wooden boards or even the flat of their spades. Finally, a light coating of soot oil or melted candle wax could be rubbed in to seal pores. The result was a surface that shed water for days and never tore like fabric or plastic. Even after multiple storms, the shelter remained dry inside, and unlike tarps, it didn't collapse under the weight of pooled rainwater. The method worked because it used nature's chemistry, not synthetic coatings. What made this trick so durable was its adaptability. Soldiers could find the materials anywhere: clay in the ground, ash from fires, wax from candles, or grease from cooking tins. These natural materials bonded on a molecular level when heated and compressed, forming a primitive waterproof membrane. In modern terms, it's a self-repairing surface. When slight cracks appeared, moisture caused the clay to swell, closing the gaps again. The ash neutralized acidity and bacteria, preventing mold or decay. This meant that while tarps rotted in weeks, these mud and wax structures stayed functional for entire seasons. You can still apply this forgotten trick for off-grid shelters and raised garden beds. For those building off-grid cabins, root cellars, or even moisture-resistant garden structures, this World War II method remains invaluable. In a backyard setting, a similar waterproofing layer can be used to line compost bins, seal raised beds, or create natural earthen shelters. To replicate it, collect clean clay soil. Just make sure to avoid sandy types and fine ash from hardwood fires. Mix at a 3-to-1 ratio by volume, adding small amounts of water until the consistency resembles dense mortar. For garden beds or earthen walls, first lay a layer of burlap or any old natural fabric coated in melted beeswax or linseed oil, and then apply the clay ash mix evenly over it. Once it begins to dry, rub a bit of vegetable oil or wax over the top. This seals the surface and keeps moisture locked out or in, depending on your use. A bed sealed like this won't leak nutrients during heavy rains, and compost bins stay warm and active longer. For off-grid shelters, the same formula can coat a roof or sidewall, offering insulation and waterproofing in one step. It's a way of building that reconnects us to natural materials, something World War II engineers understood long before eco-construction became a buzzword. Lessons from wartime engineers that still apply today. What's most remarkable about this forgotten method is its efficiency. It didn't depend on imports, factories, or supply lines, only on skill, patience, and knowledge of how natural materials behave. Soldiers under pressure created something that, honestly, modern waterproofing companies still struggle to match in terms of durability and sustainability. It's a reminder that resilience isn't about just buying better gear, it's about learning how to work with what's already around us. Whether you're digging a shelter, protecting a garden bed, or sealing a compost trench, the lesson from those muddy battlefields remains the same: mastery of material beats dependence on products. If you found this breakdown useful and want to keep uncovering more lost techniques that still outsmart modern technology, subscribe to In the Beginning and share this video with someone who values real, practical knowledge. The old ways still work, because they were built to last.